So the way we're changing, we talk a lot about technology in the workplace and technology in the home. And it's no longer good enough for an HR system to be a database that records information for organisations to print out more information. Senior managers want to know the temperature of their organisation today, now. We live in a society now where we're constantly managing our own lives digitally. Even those that previously would not have been connected by a device. So it's true to say that for many now in our homes and in our private life, we actually have the best technologies, as opposed to the office where we sometimes might feel we're back in the 80s or 90s. This is a real market switch, because not that long ago, I may have a few grey hairs to prove it, we used to come into the office for the very best of technology, and yet now, in many ways, our homes offer that. If you think about it, we can manage our own bank accounts without having to go into a bank. We can manage our billing cycles with utilities through our phones. We can have wearable devices that tell us to move or that monitor our heart rate and our sleep patterns. And we can turn on the heat pump on our way home so we have a cosy home for the evening. Or those that are lucky enough might have Alexa to start the vacuum, turn on the radio and manage our lighting. Tech is all around us. And we actually have that ability to manage our own data, take ownership of our own data in more ways now than we were ever able to. And obviously the social and online media tools have contributed to the ability to be able to do that. For most of us, we know where we are. Google Maps is a great thing. What the temperature is, what our heart rate is, how stressed we are right now. Why on earth in the office and in our HR environment do we not know how our employees are currently feeling? There's quite a bit to think about there. So translating that, it's inevitable that things will change in the HR space. It's inevitable that AI will be a component of our HR systems, because in reality, we are all touched by this type of tech in some way every day. We're living in an era which AI capabilities are reaching new heights almost daily as well. And AI into HR administration functions will benefit and will improve the overall employee experience for us. And it's here now. And how? Gemini is a business advisor. Gemini will proactively provide you with insights about your employees and to your employees to add value to your relationships. And that is a really key component of AI and HR systems. It's not to take away the relationship. It's not to compute or automate components that would have previously been a person touch. It is to add value to those relationships and make that employee experience better. Let's have a look at the Gemini Lifecycle. Just put a picture around it in terms of what we're talking about with Gemini and how it manages the entire employee lifecycle solution journey. The lifecycle through Gemini assists from talent acquisition through the evolution of your employee. So that's the whole well-being centric area. We talk about align, engage, motivate, measure, evaluate, reward. Such components as pay, as remuneration benefits, performance management, yes, health and safety and well-being and how you are in the office today. and also how you're motivating and develop and improving your employees through your organisation, so that not only they'll experience the best of them, the organisation will also experience the best. And then clearly through to offboarding and separation as the journey of the employee may be. The starting point in the Gemini world is at any point. It could be position management, and some of our customers have taken that as a starting point. It could be remuneration management. It could be health and safety, well-being. It could be payroll, and it could be onboarding. So that's a wonderful benefit of the Gemini system. That it doesn't have to be a process-driven approach. It can be what you need for your organisation. And that evolution and that business advisor is provided to you by Phil. Phil is our AI, pay, human capital, intelligence leap. And it is quite a leap for a lot of organisations. It's the business advisor that assists you through that Gemini lifecycle, that employee lifecycle. Phil is the trusted advisor, the counsellor, the helper, and the improver for both employees, managers, and the business itself. And we'll talk a little bit about those key components: advisor, counsellor, helper, and improver. We'll look at some specific Gemini AI elements and where Gemini helps us through the process or guides us to our well-being in the workplace environment, and helping us avoid those standard oops moments that need to be done, and including ensuring that we are going to get the best out of the Gemini lifecycle and obviously the employees and their journey. To analyse the AI, or to talk about the AI, there's three core components of AI. The first we're very, very familiar with, and that's the traditional reporting, such as you see here, a diversity report. The next journey in the AI, something a little bit unique in HR systems, is the business advisor or the smart insights, warning and advising of a particular instance. In this case, a position without an employee. Now, this could start in many facets, obviously, from an employee process perspective. And then machine learning, the true machine learning, where you're actually able to talk through a scenario and come up with a result. That's engaging and that's helpful. The one that I have on the screen there is about talking through a remuneration process, a position and range, and a suggested approach to a REM change. Looking at the smart insight in a little bit more detail, here Gemini as your business advisor is looking at the position that doesn't have an employee. And this could be open for a number of reasons. It could be a new position. It could be a position that's been vacant because you haven't been able to recruit, or you could have come out of a recruitment freeze and that position is now available. From a business advisory perspective, Gemini has the ability to actually look at how you might rate your talent pools. On this one, you can see and sort by a recruitment rating. It could easily be a skill rating. It could be people that you found particularly engaging through the recruitment process. It could be through a select amount of employees or candidates or specific candidates. And the controls on the left-hand side are very configurable to be able to bring that data through and change that data. Visibly seeing performance, aspirations, career choices, team feedback, and engagement are all things that are really important to organisation to be able to understand their employees' choices and desires for their direction in the organisation. Something as simple as knowing the status on a performance review, who's completed what and when, and what those ratings were. Not only can the manager and the HR team see these, the employee actually has their own little personal insight to see how they've progressed through the organisation. Ironically, some of the simplest things are the hardest things to manage. From an HR perspective or a manager workflow perspective of a notification of a fixed term inquiry, so that we can make a proactive and informed decision whether to re-employ, reinstigate, or make an employee a permanent part of the business is incredibly helpful. And of course, an employee's progress and well-being. Adding some gamification to an HR system encourages the employee to interact with the solution. This is a small training matrix on how a person has been engaged and gone through their development of their training courses and what they still have to achieve, whether it's viewable by, in this case, the employee or the managers over a group of people. Imagine being able to have a business advisory from your Gemini solution where you can actually ask who your top 3 performers are and who's promotable now. And not only do you see who's promotable now, but you can engage directly with that person through to measure and develop them to attain that position that they might have as part of their career aspiration. For all organisations, having the strategic overview and visibility of an insight of how an organisation or a person is progressing is highly important, especially to senior executives and boards. Through Gemini, one of the things that we like to provide are specific insights to you as an organisation that are very, very meaningful. So you can gauge that temperature of the organisation, whether it's about how happy your employees are, anonymous or not, how training has been received, how training is actually going, who's completed courses, all sorts of components that you may want to measure. And then that true step ahead where Phil says. And what do I mean by Phil says? With AI and emerging technologies, and because of that rapid pace of change in the technology world that we're dealing with, we're actually creating a lot of unpredictability in the way employees kind of expect to be able to easily draw information and handle their own information. We all have talked about mobility. We're making that leap ahead, that Phil leap, to actually interact verbally with the HR system. We believe that the AI in the workplace for the employee experience is vitally important. From a pragmatic approach, simply what we're doing is making it simple. So let's take a leave request. We all do them, we all approve them, we all have to manage them. Gemini presents the information and tasks in such a way that emphasises that Phil, the AI, is taking care of the employee. I'm wanting to make a leave request. When are you wanting to have this? So it's done by connecting the employee through all the different elements and features within Gemini and tasks across the Gemini area. We know that the uptake of self-service and mobility in HR systems has been slow, incredibly slow. Studies have shown that there's something between about 5 and 10% of success rates. Yeah, organisations may do leave requests online. They might actually do a timesheet online. When you think about the real estate of a mobile device, though, it has limited appeal to do complicated tasks. So we're giving the employee an HR experience that is different. And here we allow the employee to complete a basic task from everywhere without the need to open applications, apps, or panels. How else do we encourage an employee to engage with the HR system? Because engaging with the HR system ultimately means success of the HR system. It is around how a person uses it and the data that you're actually gathering through the HR system. So as we know, the workforce is changing and people are working remotely a lot more often. And as people work remotely, the necessity to connect becomes higher, and companies need to find ways to get their people to learn through, whether that's peer or social interaction, coffee chats, online communities, interests, similarities, or gamifying that experience. Pretty hard to gamify an HR system, and we're taking a pretty good crack at it. Similar to the slide that was up earlier, and looking at this from an employee perspective, a wellbeing overview for Shelley, the employee, and how she's managing her aspirations with your organisation, her performance, her work enjoyment and wellbeing, and if you really want to, connecting in with those wearable devices and managing work-life balance in conjunction with that. Satisfaction in the workplace, we know now, is not just about how you're getting paid. It's how I'm connected, how I'm valued, how I interact, the systems I use, and the simplicity of those systems that I use. So, the Gemini Lifecycle, engaging with your people, adding value to your culture, and encompassing today's technologies. Understanding our people and how they work, what they do, what they want, where they want to be, and providing support to those people through the life cycle is inherently important. And providing the tools to be able to do that can be quite challenging. The AI helps with that understanding, that organisation feeling or temperature, allowing your CEs to know exactly how the organisation is performing today, and contributes to the culture that we build. This is actually an employee life profile within Gemini. It's such a beautiful software solution to look at and to use, and incredibly intuitive. However, we all know that the employee life cycle is a spider's web. No longer do the traditional approaches work in our environments. And talent is actually very, very attitudinal, based on behaviours, values, and simply not tick box exercises. And to the greater part, the HR systems haven't kept up. So more and more today, people wish to move across roles, add skill sets, branch out dynamically. It's no longer a vertical climb up that career ladder. So how do our platforms enable that to happen? And we believe through Gemini, we have a truly inspiring solution to be able to help you and your employees on that way. So if you're looking to engage your people, to truly understand their motivations, their desires, and also distributing out an HR process to everyone to complete in some way, and having measurement, clearly organisations will do a mix of both. We'd love to actually have a chat to you and share some more stories around the Gemini journey. And certainly on our website, we do have some really nice customer stories which you're welcome to read. In addition to that, and really what this particular webinar was based on, it would be great if you have taken the time to read Is Your HR a Black Hole or a Shining Star? Quite a confronting title. It is an interesting read.